KNUS Denver. Sleep deprived and heavily caffeinated.
All right, let's do this then.
This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
I don't agree with that.
They don't always agree, but hey, at least they have coffee.
Coffee.
And each other.
I love you, man.
God help us.
I want to bless him. We need all the help we can get.
Now here's Jeff Hunt and Bill Thorpe. The Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
It's 6 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Tuesday, June 24th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights and hottest takes from the right, left, and center. A lot to cover today. We're going to be bringing you the live updates on the Iran-Israel ceasefire. Is it teetering now? We'll get to news and comment with Blake Olson, and we'll continue to update you throughout the show this morning on that. Got a call yesterday after our interview with George Teal.
Oh, did you?
I did.
Yeah.
And it was a call going, guys.
Yeah.
Just because we support the no on home rule, or we oppose home rule, doesn't mean we're communists. He was responding to George Teal on the show yesterday. So Randy Reed is going to join us. He's the
Randy Reed, not a communist, joining us on the show. Okay, good. So I wish you'd introduce him. Randy Reed, not a communist.
It's like what is that? Those days in Hollywood where you were all brought before the House Affairs on or the Senate Affairs on American
Americanism and stuff. So that's great. That'll be fun.
Knowing our callers, Bill will get that question.
Oh, all the time.
Are you a communist? Why don't you just go out there and stand with the communists, Bill?
Yeah, just like the caller last week. It was like, you're the most liberal person out there. What about Bernie Sanders? Okay, not as liberal as that. What about AOC? Okay, not as liberal as that. Okay, good. Yeah.
And then yesterday they're like, just head out there with the Bill.
Exactly.
Just go protest ICE with them.
Because that's the way I have to prove my purity is, then support is I have to stand there with them. And it's like, okay, fine, whatever.
John Decker's going to join us. He's at NATO with the president. White House correspondent John Decker will be with us in the 8 o'clock hour. And then I find this pretty interesting. I'm going to go a little internal on the debates here.
Yeah? What?
Because Donald Trump is challenging, willing to put together a PAC to challenge Thomas Massie in a primary. He's had enough of this character.
Yeah, the guy who seems to have strong conservative principles. Can't have that. No. The one thing that MAGA can't actually tolerate at all are principles. Someone who says, I stand for this and I'm not budging. No. That's not okay. Not okay in MAGA. No. No, can't do that.
Or
we already know it's not okay in the Democrat Party. But
when is it time to play and get on the team that you're a part of instead of always being a no voice? That'll be the discussion in the 9 o'clock hour. Should Thomas Massie be primaried?
Yeah. I think Dick Montford's asking that about the Rockies, too. Just saying, there's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot of fun analogies we'll be able to do with this one.
We are. We'll get to that in the 9 o'clock hour. And plus all the latest on the Iran-Israel ceasefire. Speaking of that, let's go to Blake Olson to get the latest.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Hey, good Tuesday morning. 58 and sunny in Denver. Expecting a high of 81 today. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story.
We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
Just moments ago, DJT on fire, hot with both Israel and Iran after accusations that the ceasefire terms are being violated. DJT heads to the NATO summit in the Netherlands. Both countries need to get their stuff together.
I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either.
So that is extremely fluid, if you will. We'll keep an eye on that and an ear on that. Last night, plenty of reason to celebrate, though.
I can't emphasize this enough, Brett. We have destroyed the Iranian nuclear program. 0 Americans have died. That's an amazing, amazing thing. Americans, whether Democrats or Republicans, we should be celebrating that.
VP J.D. Vance on Fox News Channel.
Our missiles, our bombs were a little...
And there it goes. One more time. I lost the computer. All right, John Fetterman supporting the president, talking about clowns like AOC who want to impeach DJT. He had some strong words about that. Stephen Miller says to look out for fireworks today when the DJT administration holds a Boston judge accountable for defying the Supreme Court. The Supremes voted to allow the Trump administration to send illegals to countries other than their homelands. A state employee's lawsuit against Governor Polis is being heard in Denver District Court this week. Scott Moss sued the governor after he was ordered to turn over the personal information of nearly 36 people to federal immigration authorities. The Department of Labor and Employment Director said the order violates a state law that prohibits sharing certain information with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. The judge hearing the case expressed some doubt about the state's position Monday, saying he found nothing in the ICE request that referenced a criminal investigation. The hearing is expected to continue later today. Police in Aurora calling in federal resources to help them with the search for a 14-year-old girl. They're trying to find Erica Long. Long has been missing since June 15th and was last seen in the area of E470 and South Gartrell Road. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children has issued an advisory about Long's disappearance, while Long's parents are offering a $5,000 reward for information that helps locate her. Barry Morphew has waived his extradition hearing in Arizona and will be returned to Colorado within the next month. Morphew is charged with the 2020 murder of his wife Suzanne, whose remains were found in a shallow grave last year. He had previously been charged, but the case was dismissed without prejudice. The grand jury has since re-indicted him following new evidence. Morphew was taken into custody on Friday. Bad Company and well, wait a minute. Let's just say Bad Company, because I have no
Mott the
idea.
Hoople?
Mott the Hoople.
Yeah,
Thank
Mott
you.
the Hoople. They're good, yeah.
Really?
That's older.
Okay.
Yeah, that's older than, Bad Company. Yeah, okay.
When was
What are they
Matt? When was Matt the Hoople?
Mott the Hoople would be late 60s,
Matt
early
the-
70s.
Mott the boy.
Yeah.
I don't remember them. Okay.
I think they've got one
co-founder-
hit, but I can't, But can't pull it out of my head and then went on to Bad Company, yeah.
The co-founder Mick Ralphs is dead at the age of 81. He
Oh, no.
passed away.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah, it is.
That's awful.
So
I liked
his
Bad
rep
Company a lot.
confirmed it.
They were, I think, underappreciated. But,
Yeah, I like Bad
They were
Company.
really good. Yeah.
Man, everybody has a black hole or whatever, or a blind
Yeah.
spot. And Mott the Hoople is
Mott the
mine.
Hoople, yes.
Hoople,
That's
Hoople,
okay.
Whatever.
Yeah, they were. It's short-lived. It's late 60s, early 70s. Yeah, it was right before Bad Company. There's one minor hit that they've got that I can't pull out of my head right now because it's like 6:08 in the morning. But that's hard. That's hard about Bad Company because they were really good. Although I always thought it was like somewhat ironic that one of their bigger hits was named after the band. Like that's a weird thing to do. I'm not sure it helped the marketing, but yeah, they were incredibly talented. Oh, that's sad. I'm gonna have to have to listen to that a little bit today. Thanks, man.
You betcha. OKC planning their parade today, getting ready for their NBA championship parade today, 10:30 Central Time, 9:30 Mountain Time. News brought to you by Lair Fireplace and Patio, Denver's premier source for everything fireplace, patio, and grills. Locally owned and operated since 1954. Online at lairfireplacepatio.com. 55 in Castle Rock, 57 in North Glen, 58 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue. Blake Olson, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Your 7:10 5-day forecast still going to have some clouds as we move into Tuesday morning. Temps starting off in the mid-50s, highs low 80s Tuesday afternoon. With daytime sunshine, expect unstable conditions for afternoon and evening, strong to potentially severe thunderstorms. Mid and upper 50s Tuesday night. Low 80s with showers and thunderstorms Wednesday, drying out and warming up. Upper 80s, low 90s Thursday and Friday. Weather brought to you by Colorado's Best Roofing, reminding you to protect your home from the harsh Colorado weather. Schedule your free no-obligation roof inspection at roofingcolorado.com. Meteorologist Don Watzel in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
You know, Bill, it was on this date 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Roe v. Wade was overturned.
Wow.
Yeah. We are now 3 years into it. My wife had a piece in the Daily Citizen about this the other day. She writes for Focus on the Family. More people identify as pro-life, especially young people and men. More people think abortion is morally wrong, and more people support restrictions on abortion. So things are tilting pro-life in the 3 years since Roe v. Wade was overturned. But today is the anniversary. All right. Is Donald Trump the great peacemaker, Bill? He's got a ceasefire
No, he doesn't.
between Israel and Iran.
Not according to news this morning, he doesn't. It's already evaporated.
It's teetering.
Well, no, it's both Iran and Israel have accused the other side of breaking it. And Trump is already put out a missive about behave. This is pretty much, it was broken. It didn't last very long. Although it was from some of the
They're
reporting.
not back into full-scale attacks. They're just kind of chipping at each other here towards the end.
But again,
aren't they?
that's not a ceasefire. If you tell two kids no more hitting each other, and they still slightly slap each other, that's still hitting each other. You wouldn't continue if you told your two kids to stop hitting each other and they continue to strike each other in whatever manner. As a parent, you wouldn't tolerate that. So that's the issue, is the whole idea of no hitting each other. Well, they're not no hitting each other. And I was seeing some reporting that I haven't been able to chase down totally to see how much the veracity of it, that this announcement of a ceasefire, somewhat of a surprise to Iran. Somewhat of a surprise that they had not engaged in either any sort of formal discussion nor agreement at all that, we will stop doing this. That it just was kind of announced. Now, again, they could be playing the diplomatic game, so I haven't been able to chase it down, but two of the sources that I've seen are fairly reliable. But I'm not saying they can't be biased nor influenced, so I'm not 100% confirmed on that one. But I've been reading some stuff that, when the ceasefire was announced, Iran's like, wait, what? We didn't agree to nothing like that.
Yeah, that's not what Trump said. Trump said that they both outreached to him for the ceasefire.
I know,
almost at the same time.
Remember, though, Trump also thinks that you pour water on magnets and they don't work. The litany of things that Trump may or may not have announced that turns out to be maybe a mere invention is legion. That's a long list. So I'm just saying that a party that is inside of this agreement says this announced agreement was a bit of a surprise to them. They could have reached out to Donald Trump. They could have been having a talk. They could get to a point of not saying, okay, we're ready for a ceasefire, and Trump announces it. Iran would be correct. and Trump can also make his announcement. So these things can be true. It absolutely can be true that Trump jumped the gun on it and that Iran had reached out to him and said, how do we stop the fighting? Yes, both those things can be true. But again, and I'm trying to chase it down, so I'm about 50-50 on it. But the sources I'm seeing are somewhat reliable. I don't mistrust them outright. But I'm looking for verification on that story inside of Iran because I don't know if they're just playing a diplomatic game or if it's a serious story.
Can you give Trump any credit?
Yeah,
Bill, on this?
Yeah.
I mean, if they get,
this?
I mean, they're
what
chipping.
Do you mean by this?
They're chipping at
this.
each other right now, but I think they're taking steps towards having a ceasefire, and Donald Trump essentially eliminated Iran's nuclear capabilities.
Did he?
Yeah.
Not according to current.
I mean, this is my point. Is like Trump can do anything, and it's not good enough.
Here's the thing. What I'm doing is I'm judging him on his own standards. He said we've reached a ceasefire. There's not a ceasefire, even if they're chipping at each other.
That's not true. There is a ceasefire. They're chipping at each other.
Hang on. Chipping is not a ceasefire. Ceasefire is no fire. That's why it's called a ceasefire. Chipping, not a ceasefire. That's the issue.
No,
and
I'm holding him to there's never going to be peace in the Middle East.
No, I'm holding him to his standard. If he says this is a ceasefire, and right now Israel and Iran, according to news reporting we have on Fox News, it's not like I'm some sort of liberal tard here sitting here and saying,
Bill,
oh my God, Fox News is saying there's no ceasefire.
We're at all-out war, and then you had a few bombs dropped on either side after the ceasefire.
Is Fox News not giving Donald Trump credit too? Because they're saying the same thing I am. The exact same thing.
No, they're not.
Doing... They had a Chiron 5-10 minutes ago. They had a Chiron. The Israel-Iran ceasefire doesn't exist. They both violated it. They had a Chiron 10 minutes ago. Yes, that's what Fox News is reporting. Both sides have violated it. That's not a ceasefire. I'm holding Trump to his own standard.
The headline from the Wall Street Journal right now, live updates: Trump scolds Israel and Iran as ceasefire teeters. It's not that the ceasefire is over.
But Fox News is saying they both violated the ceasefire. That's what I'm holding him to. I'm holding him to this idea of a ceasefire. And we have allegations right now that both Israel and Iran have violated the ceasefire. Iran possibly with some weapons. That's what I'm reporting. I'm holding him to his standard. I don't see why that's a problem. Why can't I hold him to the standard that he sets?
Because in my mind, for you, I don't think there's a single thing Donald Trump could ever do that would be good enough in your view.
I disagree, but I don't know that we are going in.
Here's a guy that dropped bombs in Iran, and right now I don't think we killed a single person doing it. Okay, destroyed facilities. We haven't lost any lives, American lives. We don't have boots on the ground. We're not getting involved in long-term operations in Iran.
Not yet.
And Israel and Iran are I think in a ceasefire. They're chipping at each other, but they're not going at it the way they were yesterday. And there's no credit where credit's due. It's like your expectations of Donald Trump are so you have such distaste for him that in light of all of this, of 40 years of having to deal with Iran, the fact that we've been able to take out some of their nuclear capabilities, well, it's not all of them. Well, we got a ceasefire. Well, it's not entirely a ceasefire.
Didn't say it wasn't all of them.
It's just like a constant effort to belittle anything that he does.
No, it's a constant effort to hold him responsible and hold him accountable for the statements and the standards he sets. That's it. He said ceasefire. We don't have a ceasefire, at least not according to Iran, not according to Fox News. And the idea of the nuclear sites being obliterated, his own State Department has said we won't know that for weeks as far as the obliteration. And there's reporting that has come out now that Iran moved their nuclear fissionable material from the mountain and took some of the more sensitive equipment that needed to be moved that could have been destroyed because Donald Trump had telegraphed what he was going to do. that they had moved that this weekend before the attack. That's the reporting. We don't know if that's true because we can't verify this until we get somebody on the ground there. There's no way to verify this thing through satellite imagery or flyovers. There's got to be an individual looking at the facility. So we don't know. But so far, the claims of obliteration do not seem to be accurate. Destroyed? Yes. Where's the nuclear material? We don't know. That's what we know so far. But again, I'm holding him to his standard. He claimed obliteration. Obliteration doesn't seem to be what happened based on the reporting from our own State Department. That's it. I'm just trying to hold him to his own standards. That's it. I don't see why that's a problem.
Because I see it, you do it on every single thing.
Yeah, because he sets all these standards. Why not?
I mean, there's
why not?
There's not an effort at all to recognize progress. There's not an effort to admit that we're moving in the right direction. So, for instance, we're going to do mass deportations. Well, you said all the criminals first. Okay, well, we didn't get all the criminals first. So, I mean, it's this like, we were under a regime with Joe Biden where they lied to the entire American people about this guy's abilities. Okay? He went to bed at 4 p.m. And media picked up on how frail he was, or conservative media picked up on how frail he was. Mainstream media lied the entire time about it. We don't even have signatures on laws.
Why am I responsible for what the mainstream media did to Biden? I thought this was about me.
Because I'm pointing out
was about me.
That we were literally entirely deceived. And
this isn't about me.
Now Donald Trump is making progress in the Middle East. He's making progress with deportations. He's making progress with cutting some of the waste in our government. And every time it's not perfect.
No.
Every time
I'm holding him his own standard.
No,
totally incorrect.
No,
I'm holding him his own standard.
I'm
holding him to his own
Donald
standard.
Trump and just because he's not perfect as an opportunity to degrade him.
No, I'm using his own standards.
Just a year ago, we had a president that was totally incapable. And the entire mainstream media lied about what he was doing.
I'm sorry, but that point's irrelevant because what you're doing is, in all honesty, you're whataboutism. You're sitting here saying, Bill, you dislike this that Donald Trump's doing. And what about Joe Biden? What about Joe Biden in the media? That's irrelevant.
I'm pointing out double standards, Bill. I'm pointing out double standards.
Hang on a sec. Wait, you can't point out a double standard when you say, Bill, you do this all the time, and the mainstream media does that. That's not a double standard. A double standard is when the individual is doing two things. You can't lump me into the sins of the mainstream media. That's not fair.
I don't remember you ever holding Joe Biden to the same standard.
Same standard of what? Of his
perfection.
Goals? No, hang on a sec. I'm not looking for perfection. I'm looking for Donald Trump. I'm holding him to his own standards. He said the 12-day war is over. We have a ceasefire. That doesn't seem to be true. He said the nuclear sites were obliterated. That doesn't seem to be true. Yesterday, the Department of Homeland Security said that this was a great win at the Supreme Court because the Donald Trump administration is exporting and deporting all of the violent criminals and all the rapists. That's not objectively true. We talked about that yesterday, that only 30% of those people detained have a criminal conviction or criminal past or a criminal case against them. That's not true what's coming out of the Department of Homeland Security. I don't understand why it's an issue when I hold them to their standard. If Donald Trump comes out and says, we are making a good path towards peace, we are making a good path towards, that's a fair comment.
Bill,
but when he comes out and says this standard,
I never heard you hold Joe Biden to these standards.
Yeah.
You never took what Joe Biden said and then tried to hold him to those standards.
Yeah, I did. When he came out, yes, I did. When he came out and he said something that turned out not to be true, I was critical of the things like the third time he went at the bite at the apple for the debt relief for student loans. There were a number of things that I was critical with, and I think that it was
you
dumb.
just gave me three things
hang on
in
a sec.
24 hours you held Donald Trump account to.
I know, but last time I checked out, Joe Biden hasn't been president for 6 months. So let's go back into the time machine. I was critical of a number of his performances. I was very critical of how he was dealing with the border. I was incredibly critical with the idea that he couldn't pay attention and wouldn't go ahead and look at that as possibly being. I said that was actually going to be the thing that sunk his presidency, was his inattentiveness to the border. And it was a problem. And the fact that they just seemed to hand out asylum to anybody who claimed it and didn't seem to be concerned about checking it. Yes, I was critical, but I'm holding him to his standards. Donald Trump sets different standards, and it's only fair to set them to the standards they set. I'm not setting artificial standards. I'm setting standards, and I'm holding Donald Trump responsible and accountable for his own words and actions.
Bill,
That's it.
Donald Trump is gotten more peace into the Middle East in 6 months than Joe Biden did in 4 years. And what are we doing today? What are we doing today?
Wait, hold on. Repeat that?
Yeah.
What?
There's more peace in the Middle East right now in the 6 months since Donald Trump became president.
That's not true.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. We had Iran and Iran and Israel engaging in a war, and we still have Israel engaging in the military conflict.
How weak is Iran right now? Is it good to have a strong Iran?
Wait, that wasn't the standard you set not more than three sentences ago.
I just said we have more peace.
Yeah, more peace.
Because we have a weakened Iran.
Hang on a sec. Don't we have a conflict going on right now between Israel and Iran? Weren't they just attacking each other yesterday?
That didn't exist under Joe Biden?
No, Iran and Israel.
When did October 7th happen?
But October 7th was Hamas that attacked them.
Oh, yeah, and Hamas just has money that comes from where?
They're supported in part by Iran. Yeah.
Yeah.
But wait, Israel launched an attack.
And why did Hamas attack Iran or Israel?
Did Israel launch an attack against Iran under Donald Trump's presidency or Joe Biden's?
Both.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. When did the pager attack happen?
That was Hezbollah. Again.
And who pays for Hezbollah?
Hang on. No.
This ability to try to make this argument that Iran is not involved with all this.
So we have Israel doing a pager attack versus an open airstrike and missiles.
Yes, and
that's totally different.
And
no,
what
Jeff.
is peace? What has brought more peace?
That is totally different. No. Now you're talking about what has brought more peace. I disagree.
Yeah.
This is an open conflict. We now have two open conflicts inside the Middle East. When under Biden there was one. There was one.
Are we more peaceful today in the Middle East?
No, we are not, because we have more open conflicts.
Because a stronger Iran is more peaceful?
No, we have more open conflicts. That's the issue. We don't have more peace. We have more open conflicts. That's it. End of sentence. Full stop, period.
No.
We have more open conflicts.
In
so now
your
we're on our way
mind,
to peace.
A strong Iran with less conflicts is a more peaceful Middle East.
No. All I'm doing is using the word conflict.
Right. I'm pointing out that we now have a weakened Iran.
No. Irrelevant to the issue.
Of a peaceful Middle East? A weakened Iran is irrelevant to a peaceful Middle East?
Please tell me how, when Israel is having open military attacks in Iran, it's now more peaceful.
Because Iran's weakened.
So an attack makes peace.
Against an enemy, yes, of course.
Okay. And now we've just entered the world. We got to take a break. Now we've just entered the world of 1984 and George Orwell. That's all we've done.
No, we haven't.
Yes, we have. We're going with Newspeak. Yes.
You think
military
so long
attacks
as
are
there's
peace.
a strong Iran,
military attacks are peace. No.
So long as there's a strong Iran but less conflict, there's a more peaceful Middle East?
No, I'm asking you about the idea of the conflict. That's what we talked about. Conflict is not peace. We can talk about
when it weakens your enemy. Yes, it is.
No, conflict is not peace. Conflict by definition is not peace. It's conflict, and we have more conflict right now. That's it. We're newspeaking this. This is silly. No. This is just about words having meanings. Conflict doesn't mean peace. We do not have more peace because we have more conflict, and we have more conflict now. Could we get to a more stable Middle East because of this? Yes, that is a possibility. Is it possible that with a weakened Iran we have more stability in the Middle East? Yes, that is possible. But you can't make the claim right now that we have more peace now, now, than 100%. We did under Biden. No, because there's another conflict.
Bill, this is where I just keep going back. If you're, in your definition, so long as there's less activity taking place. So long as we have a strong Iran, we have a more peaceful.
Please
Middle
read.
East.
Please, what part of conflict am I missing where it says peace? What part of the definition? Because there's an active conflict between Iran and Israel right now.
Same reason that if you have a stronger police force in Denver and you have more arrests, you have a more peaceful Denver.
I'm not sure I understand that one. What do you mean?
Right. Same thing with the Middle East. So if you don't have any police, you just walk away from the city of Denver. Well, yeah, we have less conflict, but we don't have a more peaceful Denver.
Do the police need to arrest somebody to have peace?
Of course.
No.
Of
Not at all.
course.
No.
That is what police
Jeff,
do.
hang on a sec. When they go down to and there's peace at the March for Life, how many people are arrested? None.
But when
Nobody
you have
protesters.
but Marno,
The idea, the functionality. The functionality of arrest doesn't mean
you're missing
peace.
out on a big piece of that,
No,
which
I'm
is
not.
Iran is the largest sponsor of terror.
No.
And
I'm
a
just
weakened
working on-
Iran means
No.
a more peaceful Middle
You're
East.
the one that went for conflict and peace. Conflict does not equal peace. We have more conflict. Could it lead to a more stable Middle East? Yes. Okay, yes. But we don't have less conflict now. It's just simply not true. Could this lead to a more stable Middle East? Yes. That's where you're going with this. But the argument that Donald Trump has led to a conflict-free, less conflict, more peaceful Middle East now is not true.
No, it's 100% true.
Didn't we just bomb somebody over the weekend?
This just goes
What the
back
hell is going on here?
to the idea that
ridiculous.
Donald Trump can't do a single thing that you would approve of. There's always a reason to nitpick. Donald Trump.
I'm
We're
holding him
on
to
the
a standard.
verge of a ceasefire. We have a ceasefire. We have some chipping
according
that's
to
taking
Iran and
place,
Israel.
and there's no props given in your world to Donald Trump for what he achieved over the weekend.
No, I did. I gave him credit.
Well, you said
for
you're going
the
to hold
strike.
him accountable to what
Yes.
he said.
Yes, for what he said. Yes.
Right.
He said the place was obliterated. So far, we don't see that verified.
Bill,
and we don't know where
went
the nuclear
from-
material is.
We went from Friday, he's going to start World War III, or Saturday, he's going to start World War III.
I didn't say that.
If he does this.
I didn't say that. Don't put words in my
But
mouth.
this is how the progressive left.
Again, who cares? Wait, hang on a sec. Who cares? Who cares, Jeff? Please, with all respect.
Yes.
You're sitting here saying, Bill, you do this. Bill, you do this.
I didn't say Bill. I said we went from.
No. Just a second ago, prior to that I never give him credit.
Yes.
You keep conflating critique of me with statements made by media and liberals. That's not fair in this discussion. You need to decide your target. Are you upset with me or upset with everybody else? Stop dragging me and saying the liberals say this. Don't freaking care. Deal with things I say with respect. Deal with things I say and stands I take, and then you can critique me on those. Don't drag me into what the liberal media says all the time and then say, why do you defend that all the time? Or why are you defending that? Don't care. That's them. Come to me with my stuff. I'm holding him accountable to his statements. That's it.
What did
Full
you
stop.
think? What did you think Saturday night when he bombed Iran?
I thought it was an escalation, and I'm curious to see how it plays out. That's it. I'm just curious. I was worried that Benjamin Netanyahu has manipulated them a little bit, but we'll see how it plays out. We'll see how this plays out. That's it. That's all. And that's what I came to the table with yesterday. Yesterday, did I sit here and say Donald Trump is starting World War III? No. Did I sit here and say Donald Trump made a horrible decision? No. Did I sit here and say Donald Trump's a horrible president and how could he possibly do this? No. I never once said that. My question yesterday is, how is this America first? I'm questioning Donald Trump's standards. That's it. I wasn't sitting there and not giving him credit for the activity, nor did I not give him credit for the effectiveness of the strike.
Oh, come on.
What? When did I say the strike was not effective? When? When
Because
did I say?
you spent. You just said that it wasn't effective.
No,
you
we
said
don't.
we didn't get everything.
Hang on. I'm holding him to his standard. Jeff, this strike can be effective. Wait, hang on.
Oh, my
Jeff,
gosh.
Two things can be true. The strike can be effective, and we cannot obliterate the place. It can be effective, but we cannot obliterate the place. It can be effective, but it cannot
the fact
obliterate.
that there's not a single thing these guys could do that you would applaud them for.
I've applauded both of them on other occasions. It's fine.
Never once.
Yes, I have on this show, in public. Yes.
When?
I don't know. I didn't know I was going to have to. I didn't write it down on the calendar, but I have. I have said, in fact, I made a note of it a couple of weeks ago. I said, note this at whatever the hell it was in the morning that Bill Thorpe is complimenting Donald Trump. Several weeks before that, I complimented Elon Musk. It exists. I am not dogmatic on this, but I'm holding him to his standards. He says obliterate. I think the strike was effective and targeted, well carried out. Did it obliterate the site? I don't know. I'm holding him to his standard. That's it. Full stop.
All right. Well, I think that there's a lot to celebrate. What Donald Trump is doing in the Middle East has brought real peace to the region because the big problem has been Iran. And Israel has done tremendous work going after Hezbollah, going after Hamas, Syria, the rest of those areas to weaken Iran to the point where a U.S. direct attack in Iran couldn't be responded effectively because you didn't have the suicide bombers out of Hamas or Hezbollah anymore. They've all been eliminated. This was a joint effort between great Western powers, Israel, Middle East, but again, Western civilization, and the United States of America. And they have brought more peace towards the Middle East than we have seen in a generation. They did it over the weekend, and now you have a ceasefire. Yeah, there's chip-in taking place, but I don't see him going full scale back into a war again. Donald Trump, Benjamin Netanyahu are to be applauded for this. All right, we'll get to the phone calls and texts. We'll get to, let's talk advanced hair restoration. If you're losing your hair, you need a simple solution that works. You want the best modern technology, top-rated physicians, something that's guaranteed to work. You need Dr. Tanya Pauls and her team at Advanced Hair. They've completely redefined hair restoration. From the experience itself to their unmatched results, you got receding hairline, bald spot, or thinning hair. Address them all with Advanced Hair's simple one-day treatment in a calm, relaxed environment with the most experienced professionals. Advanced Hair has performed tens of thousands of these breakthrough treatments. And get this, your own natural hair begins to regrow the very next day. No one in Denver can offer anything like the Advanced FUE found at Advanced Hair, and I highly recommend their team. It starts with your free consultation. Call 720-459-HAIR. If you qualify, you'll get $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. So refine your hairline with the team that's redefined hair restoration. 720-459-HAIR, 720-459-HAIR, or advancedhair.com, advancedhair.com. Well, it's spicy this morning, and you're welcome to join the conversation. We'll get to you. If you want to give us a call, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line, 720-819-5115, 720-819-5115. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We're updating you on the latest with regards to the Israel war ceasefire as it teeters. Trump says he told Netanyahu to turn planes around. This just in from the Wall Street Journal. Call back Israeli planes that were headed to Iran, and they did, which I respect very greatly, Trump said, so nobody was killed. Trump told reporters on Air Force One. He said there would be no consequences for violating the ceasefire because the planes turned around. Iran's not going to have nuclear weapons, by the way. I think it's the last thing on their mind right now, adding that Iran is not going to have enrichment either. All right, let's go to the phone lines. Good morning, Andrew, Denver. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Hey, morning, guys. I just wanted to call in because this attack on the voice of reason on this show, and it's definitely not you, Jeff, is totally unjust. And you're acting like you're a reasonable person, but I would love you to say one Democrat, one Democrat initiative that you've actually supported. I can name several that Bill has with Trump. In fact, just a week or two ago, he was saying he would support locking undocumented workers up in camps. I would love to see any Democrat say that on national radio where everyone can hear it. So stop attacking him and admit you're the Trump loyalist. You just can't handle it that he won't say the sky is blue because Trump says it's blue and it's really purple. The conflict is not resolved. There is not more peace. You're changing the definition of a word, and now you're attacking Billy because he won't agree with you. It's ridiculous, and it's making me sick, man. He's a smart man. Leave him alone.
You don't think there's more peace in the Middle East?
No, there's two active conflicts versus one. That's the definition of more. You're wrong.
So there were no conflicts when Joe Biden was the president?
I did not say that. I'm saying there are more conflicts with Trump. So no, there is not more peace.
So Iran was just a peaceful country because October 7th took
in
place.
This conflict because Trump took us out of that deal in the first place. So actually, we're here because your boy did that to us in the first place.
We're here with Iran having no enrichment capabilities because of Donald Trump?
That's an assumption. We don't know that they have no capabilities. We don't know where it is. And
but were they enriching uranium under Joe Biden?
Probably. The problem
okay,
is
so that's a more peaceful Middle East in your mind?
I think I liked when Trump said no foreign wars, and I actually supported that, and he's proven to me that's not the case. And you supported that up until about a week ago, too. You were saying you were done with all the Bush stuff, you were done with this, you were done with that, and now that Trump likes it, you like it again.
And do you think that was an act of war that Donald Trump engaged in with Iran?
I more or less do. I want to see how it plays out. I'm more reasonable like Billy. I'm curious to see where it goes, but I don't think it's over in 48 hours. I think you're kidding yourself.
Okay, but again, in your mind, we're less peaceful today in the Middle East with Iran not having these enrichment capabilities.
My eyes are telling me we are less peaceful in Iran today based on the active conflicts than we were a year ago. Yes. Now,
all right, so you, in your mind, a stronger Iran enriching uranium and seeking to build a nuclear weapons, a more peaceful Middle East. Okay. All right.
No,
well,
again,
I think
you're
that's
putting
wrong.
words in my mouth just like you always do. But that's not what I'm saying, Jeff. I don't think the Democrats are right. I think America leaving them alone because they're not doing anything until it's actually necessary, like Trump said he was
not doing
do,
anything. October 7th was not doing anything.
I mean, well, good point. Good point. No, but my point is, what point do we get involved? Because I could go back through a litany of the other October 7th. So it's just like, I think Trump.
That's why I don't think that all of a sudden the Middle East was was more peaceful prior to Trump. I think it's more peaceful today because Iran is literally on their back with most of the generals killed, with some of these guys fleeing to other countries. They're not enriching uranium at this point because everything's been decimated. They're not acting through Hezbollah, Hamas, Syria the same way they were under the Biden administration. It's a more peaceful Middle East. But anyways, we got to get to You Choose the News. Andrew, appreciate the call. It's been a fun 6 a.m. hour. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This has been fun. Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. It's always good in the midst of all the passions to take a moment for some levity with You Choose the News.
Yes, it's that time of the morning where we get to have a little bit of fun and silliness. It's You Choose the News, America's favorite fake radio news game show. We've scoured the interwebs for moments this morning to find really dumb stories about us humans, giving them overly ridiculous headlines so that we can play this fake radio news game show. Why did we do this? Because those in charge are not awake at this hour. We are going to take full advantage of being left unsupervised. As always, Blake Olson is joining us from the newsroom. Jeff Hunt is in the studio. Gentlemen, here are your stories this morning. Headline number 1, DIY lobotomy. Headline number 2, one of millions. Headline number 3, highway hypocrisy. And headline number 4, just like Keanu Reeves, my hero.
DIY lobotomy, please.
Yeah, DIY lobotomy. According to new research from MIT, you, me, the listeners, all of us could be giving ourselves our own DIY lobotomy. No, it's not because of those Real Housewives shows. It's because of artificial intelligence. A study has shown that the more you use large language models, the LLMs or AI, in order to write, research, or produce things, you don't remember it. It functionally makes you dumber. Inside the study, they had an experiment where people had to write a series of essays, and they had electronic brain monitoring, looking at them during and after. The monitoring revealed substantially weaker connections between regions of the brain for those who used AI. It correlated with poorer memory and worse derivative output. What it basically did is that the writing turned out to be better, but the individuals that used AI couldn't refer to what they wrote, couldn't explain it, and couldn't refer back to individual sections of what they wrote. Where the individuals that used their own brain power, while they were not as executed as well, showed more creativity, more depth of knowledge, and over time retained more knowledge. Most importantly, those that used a large language learning model in order to produce works of the writing in this study showed they didn't remember anything. In fact, their comprehension of the subject returned to novice a short time later, while those that used their brain power and actually did the research had a moderate understanding, so mid-range understanding of it, not novice. So by using large learning models, we're making ourselves dumber. That's fun.
Yep.
That's going to be great in schools, huh? That's going to be great. All right.
I feel like they say the same thing about calculators.
All righty. Blake, one of millions, highway hypocrisy, or just like Keanu Reeves?
Let's go with the one of millions.
One of millions. Here we find ourselves in British Columbia. A Supreme Court Judge, Williams Lake, found that a man who was stabbed in the lake by someone named Tyler can't hold Tyler responsible. He ruled that Tyler Sampson Meldrum, while he knows the defendant and does have the name Tyler, is not guilty. Why? Well, the victim testified that he woke up on a living room couch in a drunken blackout. He's 42 years old, so remember, that's a life choice he's making right now. Only in time to hear someone say he has a knife. He used his legs to defend himself, push his female companion out of the way, and he was stabbed in the leg. He testified that he knew the attacker, and it is this Tyler right here, but wasn't able to provide anything else, not a weapon, not anything else, or even that Tyler was there at the time. So the judge said, yeah, I have no doubt that someone named Tyler attacked you. I just am not convinced it's this Tyler. Case dismissed. Yeah, had the wrong Tyler. Alrighty, Jeff, final choice this morning. Highway hypocrisy or just like Keanu Reeves, my hero?
Just like Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, just like Keanu Reeves. A quiet town in Korea became a dramatic scene recently, almost one out of a movie. Recently, guy's walking down the street, and he said, hey, I just saw the keys sitting there, so I figured, why not take it for a drive? Yes, the gentleman in question jumped into the driver's seat of a bus and decided to drive around town. Then, just like in Speed, when the police showed up, he decided to go faster. He said it was super exciting. It was just like in the movies. You know, that one with Keanu. The chase continued for 10 kilometers, eventually ended when patrol cars surrounded the bus. Oddly enough, investigators said, yes, this gentleman suffers from some mental instability and has some brain problems at times. So the idea that, hey, keys, bus, yeah, that's the connection that he might make. But again, he was living out the dream of Speed. I still love that. That his reaction when they arrested him was, it was just like in the movies. I was doing it. Right. The police were chasing me and everything.
Except no Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Makes it not nearly as...
not nearly as fun. Well, that's it. That's the end of You Choose the News. Back to you, sir.
right. Well, coming up in the next hour, we're going to be talking with Randy Reed. No on Dougco home rule. He's responding to George Teal's interview yesterday that said, well, if you're opposed to home rule in Douglas County, you're just a bunch of communists. What does Randy Reed have to say about that? Then John Decker traveling with the president to NATO will give us the updates in the 8 o'clock hour. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.